Thank you. You may be seated. Today, a cup of cold water. Sometimes only a cold glass of water will satisfy. When I'm really thirsty, after a workout, after a hot day, after working outside for a long period of time, after being on a sandy beach, there's something about the beach and the sand that it kind of just draws the water right out of you. It dehydrates you. Randy and I used to drink sodas, but when kids came into our lives, we've gotten further and further away. We knew they didn't need that sugar. And now it's almost, it used to be special occasions, and then now it's hardly ever we even desire soda. We want water, but don't mess with my morning coffee, okay? That I still have to have. I still have a glass of water first, but sometimes I feel like I'm chugging that water so I can get to the coffee, the real thing. But what if we lived our spiritual lives that way? What if we said, first thing in the morning, give me Jesus? What if? I think we should have bumper stickers made that said, don't start your day without Jesus. Or maybe we should have a t-shirt that says, warning, I haven't had my dose of Jesus yet today. Have you ever met somebody, and they're kind of in a mood and you wonder, did they miss their time with Jesus today? Sometimes we wear that more than we think we do. We have it across our forehead. We need Jesus. I haven't had my time with Jesus today. We need Jesus. Now, getting back to this text, the real, true meaning of this text. Now, to be true to the text, Mark 9 also is a similar passage to Mark chapter 10. And it's talking about giving this cold cup of water to another person. Offering a cup of cold water was the least one could do when offering hospitality. It's about hospitality. The smallest common courtesy, and yes, in those arid regions, those dry regions of Palestine in the biblical day, it was necessary to have that cup of cold water. To offer a cup of cold water to these little ones is what this phrase says. And at first you think, just like we did with these little kids up here, these little ones, but those aren't the only little ones that it's talking about. It's talking about all followers of Jesus. But prior to that, it talks about welcoming a prophet, welcoming a righteous person. Anyone who is a follower of Jesus, we offer them a cup of cold water. We offer them hospitality. We serve one another. But my point today is that if we don't first drink of water, we have no water to give. If we don't drink of Jesus Christ, we have nothing to offer another. When you travel by plane, the flight crew is required to go through some instructions before they take off, and one of those emergency instructions is how to put on an oxygen mask. And they also, along with the oxygen mask, give you the order of priority. It says, they say if you're traveling with a child, make sure you put your oxygen mask on first. Just not so long ago, I traveled down to see my aunt, take my mother down to see my Aunt Wanda, who was ill, and we traveled Southwest. And Southwest Airlines is kind of known for their sense of humor. They say, you kind of need a sense of humor to work for Southwest. Well, they were going through these instructions, and the flight attendant got up and kind of going through the routine. She said, the normal, if you're traveling with a child, make sure you put your oxygen mask on first and then put it on your child. If you're traveling with 2 children, make sure you put your oxygen mask on first and then put on your 2 children. If you're traveling with more than 2 children, what were you thinking? But why is it that we have to put our oxygen mask on first? If I can't breathe, I can't help anybody else breathe. If I pass out from lack of oxygen, I am good to no one. If I have not drank of Jesus Christ, again, I have nothing to offer. I have nothing to offer. We can't offer a drink of water to anyone if we are suffering from dehydration ourselves. We have nothing to give. We cannot offer Christ. We cannot offer fullness of life. We cannot offer hope. If we first have not plunged into the waters, been bathed by God's word, if we are not filled with the living water, if we do not come to the well regularly, we have nothing to give. We need that weekly, that daily time with God. Weekly, our time of worship together, our Sunday school and small group ministries, to dig into God's Word together and to encourage one another in our walk with Christ. We need daily time with God. Each August, Randy and I have been attending, it's called the GLS, the Global Leadership Summit. And each year there is a theme for that summit, but this year there was kind of a common thread that ran through. It wasn't a major theme, but it's a theme that we kind of picked up on as each speaker spoke. One of them it was their main theme. She talked about white space. Some of you know what white space is. I learned about white space first about, kind of on paper and newsletters. You don't want anything too busy, or your mind or your eye gets too busy and you can't read easily. It's too difficult on your eyes. You need white space. It's important on the page to have white space, to have those margins and so forth. And her emphasis was, and some of you may have heard, that we need white space in our lives. We need times in our lives that just aren't filled with stuff, with the busyness of life, with noise, with clatter, with phones, texting and so forth constantly and multitasking. We need white space. We need time that is quiet and still. We need what some call chair time. Bill Hybels referred to, and he's the pastor and kind of sponsor of this event, chair time. He encourages his congregation to take 15 minutes a day, and he calls it chair time. And in that chair time, to spend time with God, whether it be reflecting, whether it be journaling, whether it be praying, whether it be time in God's Word, whether it be all of those things, but just 15 minutes. And it's like white space. Time to pull away, to be quiet, to be with God, to have that cup of water that we so desperately need in our lives. There was even one business speaker and he said at their particular business, they're not even allowed to start work. They're not allowed to come in and jump right into doing stuff. They take 30 minutes to just kind of be, to prepare, to reflect, to be creative, to have space to create, but to take time. I saw your former pastor, Jay Jones, over the summer. We were at camp together, and he even builds that into camp time. It's called FOB time, flat on back. When the kids get, too tired and wore down, it's FOB time, flat on back, giving some rest time. But we need our chair time. We need that space, that time where we can drink deeply of Jesus. God doesn't want us to be what we've always been. He wants to transform us. But we can't even hold on to what He's already created us to be without that time with God, without that drinking of God on a regular basis. What He's already done in our lives slips away if we don't maintain it. We need that regular time with God. John 15 teaches us, remain in me, abide in me. That's that vine and branch passage. Jesus says, I'm the vine, you're the branches, and if you don't stay connected to me, you're not going to thrive, you're not going to live, let alone grow. Come, Jesus beckons us. Come, be with me, sit with me, spend time with me, reflect on me and my great love for you. Know that I am with you. Come and experience my presence. Come, drink of me. It's an open invitation. And today I ask you to respond. I have a cup of cold water to offer you today. We are going to, in the coming moments, while Gary plays something quietly, the ushers are going to come and dismiss you pew by pew, kind of like we do for communion. But today, you are going to get a cup of cold water, take it to the altar, and have just a bit of prayer time. And let me invite you, If there's something that you need from God, if there's some emptiness in you, something that you're longing for, or even just wanting to get closer to Jesus, as you drink that cup of cold water, may you be filled with Jesus. May he pour into you what you are longing for. Come for that cup of cold water. Ushers, will you come forward, and he will dismiss you to come. You can remain seated until it's your turn to come. Prayerfully approach this time, and we'll sing a song here at the close of that time together. Thank you, Gary.